I want to start looking at creating the quiz that we mentioned previously. So ultimately what we're trying to achieve is something similar to what I have open here at the minute. So here I have an opening screen. I had to think about that for a minute. I have an opening screen, and within the opening screen I can then navigate to the first question, where the question is posed to the user. So what breed is that type of dog? You have a series of different answers. So you've got Irish Setter, Golden Setter, Golden Retriever, and Siamese, which is actually a cat. And the user can select an answer, and then they'll get feedback as to whether they got the answer correct or incorrect. And then they will move on to the next question. Now on this slide I've got a little video and we'll demonstrate how to do that, because we do need to include various different types of media. Now I'm going to try and break this down into smaller chunks, because I wouldn't say it's hugely complex, but at the end of the day it will use things like programming. So you will use a little bit of ActionScript to make this. Well, I say a little bit, quite a lot of ActionScript, and this is where you'll start to see where Flash is much more powerful than things like PowerPoint, for example. You can just do much more with it. So in order to make this program, obviously we have Animate, or you'll have Flash open, and you'll go straight into ActionScript 3.0, and you'll start off with your timeline. So the first thing you need to do is to actually set this thing up, really. So if you go into it and you haven't started building your assets, then it's going to take you a lot longer potentially. Here you can see that I've started to build up some of my assets that I plan to use, also a few more, I'm not going to lie. So I have a quiz picture that I was going to put on the home page, and I have some pictures that we can use, and finally I have the video. And now I have acquired this through recording of my screen, which I'm fortunate to be able to do, which I probably shouldn't do in this instance, but in terms of being able to show you a video, I just needed to be able to show you something. As you can see, it's an MP4 file. You probably want to have something a bit shorter for your videos, and you may want to record them on your phones or wherever. As the ice cream van goes by outside, it's a beautiful day, and it's just something that you'll want to have a bit of a think about, because ultimately you need to acquire the image yourself, the video yourself, and obviously the images. These images I've got straight from a Google search, but again, I would expect you guys to probably spend a little bit longer actually searching for the images. You would want to make them a very similar size. So these images here, you can see are all different dimensions if I hover my mouse over them, and you would probably want to sort that out in Photoshop itself before you come to make it. However, my focus is not so much the content of this, it is more how to make it. So if we go back into Flash, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is split this file up into multiple different layers, and I'm going to want at least 5 layers, and I'm going to want to start renaming these layers, and the first one I'm going to call Actions, because this is where I want my action script to go. Then I'm going to have a home page, and then I'm going to have a question. I'm going to have answers. I'm going to need more layers here, and then you're going to have a right answer and a wrong answer. I'm also going to add one more layer in there, because I'm going to want a button later on, which will take the user from one question to the next question. So you've got 7 layers there. You've got one called Actions, one called Home, one called Button, one called Question, one called Answers, and then Right and Wrong. I'm going to pause this just before we move on to the next video, where we'll actually start to kind of set the layout here.